In this video series, I'm going to teach you everything that you need to know to get started making music in Ableton Live.
So before we get into making any music, I would just like to take a little bit of time walking through the interface of this software. I'm not going to go through every button in Ableton, that would just take too much time. However, I am going to point out what I think are the more important ones, things that you should get familiar with. Let's start in this top left corner of Ableton. In general, these series of buttons in the top left corner adjust the tempo of your song. Notably, you have this button that initially says 120. This is your BPM, or beats per minute. In general, the lower this number is, the slower your song is. The higher the number, the faster. If you're ever confused by what a button does, feel free to click on it and look in the bottom left corner of Ableton. This is your info view. This little panel right here gives you a short description on what it is you're selecting.
So this is our browser. This is what lets us find material in order to drag it into the screen and use it. So all of these here, we could click and we could drag them into Ableton and start using them.
In Live, you'll be working with two main views. The first view is called the session view. If I move the mouse to the top right icons, I can move between session view and the other view, the arrangement view. I can also use the keyboard shortcut Tab to easily move between these two views.
Now, what you're essentially seeing is you're seeing a vertical representation of those channels in the session view, but if we press the tab, now we see everything horizontally, and we're reading it like a book from left to right. The session view is for jamming live and for improvising ideas. The arrangement is for more of a finalized songwriting approach.
From here, by default, you'll see two MIDI tracks and two audio tracks. To sum it up short and sweet, MIDI tracks are where we're gonna draw in our notes that instruments can play. Audio tracks will be used to play samples. I first need to make a MIDI clip. To do this, I'm going to left click and drag for however long I want within a MIDI track. In this case, this is 17 bars long. To make the MIDI clip, I'm gonna right click on my highlighted area and select Insert MIDI Clip. You should see this piano roll pop up. If you don't, be sure to double click your MIDI clip. From here, I can click right about here. My cursor will make this symbol, which allows me to click and drag upwards to expand the piano roll. I can press the B button on my keyboard to switch to the draw mode. You'll see this pencil pop up, and I can draw in some notes. But if I hit play, the space bar, nothing happens. That's because I don't have any instrument assigned. So what I need to do is go over into my Ableton library and pick an instrument. To do this, I'm gonna go under Instruments and select my instrument under these drop-down menus. I'm gonna left click and drag and drop onto my MIDI track. I'm gonna go back into my piano roll again by double clicking. And now if I hit play, quick tip, if you want to hear the sounds of your notes as you click on them, say for example, you can do so by clicking this button right here. By default, it's grayed out. Click it, it turns blue. Now every time you draw on a note, you can hear that sound. Just something to consider.
If I hover above the beat ruler, I can scroll across the arrangement by clicking and dragging my mouse left to right. Dragging up and down will zoom in and out. I can also use the overview pane to navigate throughout my arrangement. I can click to jump to a specific part of the arrangement, or again, drag vertically and horizontally to scroll.
The first shortcut is the one that starts everything, spacebar. If I want to start from the point where I stopped, I just hold Shift and press space. This also holds for arrangement view. If I want to change between clip view and track view, I hold Shift and I press Tab. This happens at the bottom in the detail view. To change the layout of Live, I can hold Command Option and press L to hide and show the detail view on a Mac, or hold Control Alt and L on a PC. Holding down Command and Option and pressing the following letters will change the layout of Live on a Mac, and on a PC you hold Control and Alt. Press S to hide and show the sends, R to hide and show the return tracks, M to hide and show the mixer, or I to hide and show the inputs and outputs and various routing options of Live. To show or hide the browser, on a Mac, hold Command Option and press B. On a PC, it's Control Alt and B. Same key hides away the browser. To search in the browser, press Command F on a Mac or Control F on a PC, and write whatever you're looking for. Press enter to go to the results, and use the arrow keys to highlight and preview the sounds on top of your composition. I can drag this clip onto an empty space in Live, and it'll create a new audio track with the corresponding file. I can add more audio tracks by pressing Command T on a Mac or Control T on a PC. I can add a MIDI track by pressing Command Shift T on a Mac or Control Shift T on a PC. And I can add return tracks by pressing Command Option T on a Mac and Control Alt T on a PC. To undo on a Mac, hold Command and press the letter C. On a PC, it's Control C. To navigate in Session View, click any empty clip slot and use the arrow keys left, right, up and down. To stop a clip, navigate to the desired track, highlight the stop button and press enter. Or highlight the clip and press enter to start it. Alright, let's hide away the browser and get a bit organized. I need to group some tracks. So I have 2 rows tracks here. I want to group these two. And I click the leftmost track, hold Shift and select the rightmost track. And the shortcut to grouping here is Command G on a Mac or Control G on a PC. Excellent. Let me just adjust the volume here a bit. Yeah, this is better. If for any reason I want to reset a parameter to its default value, I can double click it, or I can press backspace or delete. There we go. So this group needs a proper name, and I can rename by pressing Command R on a Mac or Control R on a PC, then right arrow key to go to the end of the name and backspace to delete. Type in the desired name and you're done. If I want to rename more tracks, I can press the Tab key to cycle through the tracks. And now I can call this one Bassline and this one Flute. If I hold Shift and press Tab, I cycle backwards. When I'm done, I can press Enter. The same goes for clips. So here I could rename this Beat, and we could call this Bleeps, and so forth. You get the idea. Okay, back to the groups. To fold or unfold groups, we can use the letter U, but be aware that the computer MIDI keyboard is disabled. The keyboard shortcut to activating it is M. With the computer MIDI keyboard disabled, I can also solo tracks if I highlight the track and press S. Press S on any highlighted solo track to disengage solo. If you have any questions, just hold Shift and press the question mark to open up the info view down in the left corner. Here you can get help to almost anything in Live. You just need to hover your mouse on top of the parameter and it'll tell you what's going on.
If you're happy with what you have, you can go up to File, Export Audio, and this will allow you to manage the settings to export your final track. This will play what is in your Ableton session and turn it into an actual audio file that you can then send out and put it into the world, do whatever you will with it. Certain settings you may be interested in are how long your track is. For example, in this case, this is only going to render 8 bars worth, so this entire length of this MIDI track. If I wanted to maybe say encompass this second MIDI track, I'd have to turn this up to 16. That ends right here. You have things such as your sample rate. Honestly, if you don't know much about it, just leave the default settings. It might be for the best. But at which point you can click this export button and it will export your song. And that should do it. That's pretty much it. That's just the very basics of how to make music in Ableton Lite, or at the very least, how to navigate the interface a little bit better. Hopefully that taught you something. Hopefully you got something from this.